Hello everyone. In this video, you I want you to present I'm going to present you Caspian framework, which is in beta version, but it's finally stable now. The beta version is finally stable. It's HTML first for robust situation, which before was kind of tokenized version where components was in camel case, and that was having such a limitation in sort of parts of the application, in this case in the environment. But now Caspian, it's totally HTML first and yeah native, because it's bring its documentation organized, ready, prepared for artificial intelligence to know how to manage the Caspian environment. So, well, in this current version, we're going to install, in this case, create Caspian at beta. But what I want you to show you too, it's the platform which now available. You to you can get the icons, the components, all those information right right from your hands. Let me clean up. Okay, so let's start from now. PP icons, it's almost more than 1621 icons there, so you can find any icons which you can imagine in this case. But I know lack of some ones, and you could leave in the comment, we could add it, no problem. You have organized in category, in this case maybe if you want something specific, in this case let's chart, things like that. But in all, you have the ability to search, in this case any kind of um any kind of um, icons. In this case, as you can see, it's very intuitive and simple, easy to install. Copy the SVG information, because these PP icons have support for Prisma PHP and Caspian. Currently, we are talking about Caspian, which is specifically Python environment. So in docs, you can find all the information you need how to install. But in this case, artificial intelligence make this thing so easy. So we're going to start testing, in this case, a little bit more about this in this section. Okay, so next, what we're going to do, let's say I'm going to come here and you already have icons. No, next we have finally complete the Maddex UI, which is a Shatsian version, but this is for Caspian. In this case, this is so amazing because you just need the components and you just quick start. It's just so you just install the library and you got all the components, in this case. So you're going to come, in this case you can give a read if you're interested to do it, but all this information you are going to have um in the docs, which already there. So in accordion, in this case, you're going to see almost three examples, in this case examples use case. So usage, in this case, there we go, we have one, we got the another one. In this case, this is the control version, when the section, which section is open, things like that, you know, it's control version and so on. In this case we have there. Okay, next in alert, in this case you have some those type of the things, and there we go, alert dialog. In this case, you have the cancel, and there we go, we have the control version, and we have the danger version in this case. Okay, so we have bunch almost the complete list of ShatCN components we have. We have calendar. In this case, we have the calendar. You just select the date. We have, there we go, we have the calendar by range. In this case, there we go, and we have calendar by month. In this case, let's say April. In this case, I'm selecting the date. There we go. Before we um didn't have, we have combo box. There we go, we have now remix select, and there we go, we can just come down and select Astro, control way, so on. And when we have the command too, in this case, you can command search because it's a lot of them. In this case, you have the command, in this case, which I implemented here too. Let's say I searching for calculator, or when you open, in this case, and search for billing, there we go, we have select the billing, but we have the control K too. In this case, I'm going to list the navigation. In this case, let's say we want to go to tabs, just click tabs, and now we are in tabs. As you can see, the navigation is very smooth, because this is the improved version of Caspian, because Caspian passed its transition from alpha. Now we are in beta, but it's finally stable. So we're going to review, we're going to see if there any issue when we are creating projects, things like that. And if you find out any issue, you can comment the video, or you could send an email, so on so on, because it's open source in this case. And you're going to see that Caspian can build very complex web application. And we're going to I'm going to introduce you to how to create your first bot, but in next video. But this is the just starting point, because maybe in this week we're going to analyze if we're going to launch for a release candidate, and there I want you to create an agent. In this case, your custom agent, but I'm going to show you how I already build my custom agent, which is serving, in this case, things like that. Okay, I'm using Stitch in this case for maybe all right, we're going to get a step. Let's go to Stitch. In this case, this is a Google UI designer in this case. So I have things like that, and what I'm doing is that I'm going to migrate this information from here to a real production ready application, which is very good, because you are not only playing with the AI, you are Caspian is agentic first now, agentic first development, because remember, artificial intelligence, it's very good at coding. We have to recognize that, because the coding section for senior developers, the joy gone away. It's fading. I mentioned that in previous videos, but it's the future. To be sincere, all this month I was working with agentic coding only. I'm not touching too much the code. What I'm doing is documenting and creating skills in this case. So I create a skills, which skills is mainly about when you have loops. In this case, let's say I want to create a bunch of lists of components. So I'm going to create a skills to follow rules. So I'm going to create things like that. So we are in case of touching the code, we are documenting, we are creating the environment focus. In this case, it's quite different. I know it's different, because before was you best practices, things like that, and coding. You need to know how to call a function, things like that. That it's fading totally, because that all that joy is going slowly. It's going off. No, okay. So next, in this case, we're going to use Telegram chatbot. In this case, I already registered a test with bot father. In this case, my bot name Kutna. So Kutna is a bot which is I'm going to be chatting with. Okay, next we're going to start drawing um talking about environment and talking about ideas which we're going to start and why we are doing this way, and if maybe if you are in charge of leading a projects, things like that. I think it's going to help you to realize that focusing on centralizing your projects is going to help you a lot. So stay with me, and we're going to start here with Scalidra. And so let's say this project, in this case, this Stitch project, it's about file uploads. Okay, mainly any project which handle files. In this case, let's say you're going to work in a file storage or file management or image, things like that. You need a way to store that image in somewhere in the server, and then get that URL, and then you're going to expose to see or to view, things like that. So you always going to need that. And just imagine that you have more than 5 projects which you are managing, each project going to AWS, creating the IAM, creating the files, permission, things like that. Repeat it, and now maybe you are getting assigned again a new project. You're going to do that recursively, and if anything goes wrong, or when you are creating, you need to remember those steps, because you can ask to IA, but it's quite annoying that you need to doing that step again and again. Okay, so let's start about file management. So first of all, we're going to have this server. In this case, let's say AWS S3. Okay, so this is the section where we're going to focus on. So let's say I have my project one over here, P1, and let's copy and okay, so all these projects somehow they manage files, no? Somehow they are managing files. So let's say maybe can be a file um, profile, um, products, PDF, so on. So all these files need to be stored, and these projects, in this case application environment, needs to get the information from S3 bucket. But each time you want to get the information, or maybe it's in um, later you want to create another project, so then recursively you need to create and hook to the S3 bucket, and you need to create the IAM and permission, all those recursive information, So this for me it was like, so what, I need to remember all those things then, because I'm using a root user in this case in AWS, and I always am trying to be quite securing things in this case. So I create a file management in this case, which is the intermediate of the S3. So this we're going to call file manager. So instead of all this application pointing to the AWS, it's going to point to my server now. Point to my server, and each going to have its application. So this is going to have the application P1, let's say P1, which is going to have its own file management, this is going to handle file management. So each going to have its own space in this case, isolated um, P4. So each one going to have, like say, P2, P3, P4. So each one going to have its own application. And the good part of file management, which are centralized, when you have, let's say, the P1 going to create a token in this case. So this going to have a token key in this case. And this token key is like the API key in this case, API key. So this API key, which you're going to use, it's the consumer going to be your project, which make very easy because you just create the API key and you get secure infrastructure in this case, in the AWS bucket, because you are already creating with automation in this case. So I see this very helpful, and it's helping me a lot. So I want to show you the project which I'm currently building and finishing it, because it's already have. And even I add in maybe someone it's interesting in to have, like say, I want to manage my permission, things like that. I'm going to show you. Okay, so the idea is just you create the API key, and then you're going to have, and so this way, let's say you just want a section which this file, the API key is going to be point, no? So you're going to create another application, things like that. It's very useful in this case. Okay, so this is the idea, because you are pointing to file manager, and from here, now you're going to get pre-sign, you're going to point, in this case, you're going to point to S3 bucket, and S3 bucket is going to return a pre-assigned URLs, and this going to give to these guys them those pre-assigned URL when it's been requested. So as you can see, the flow is very easy, because you are not continue creating, risking, because remember, this could be, let's say, maybe React Native, and maybe this can be your server, let's say fast API, and then you need to share the information from fast API to React Native, and then you are creating, let's say, another handler, environment variables, such as thing which you are creating from zero almost. So the file manager is decentralized, which you're going to create a API key, which is going to use it, and it's going to automatically internally is going to manage. So the idea is this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run the project. In this case, I already have running here. So let's go. I'm going to log out in this case, so just sign out. Okay, so I'm running the project locally in this case, so I'm going to log in this case. I already I'll do is just a Maddex component. So okay, there we go. In this case, as you can see, I'm going to create an application, and then I'm going to hook this to use from another application, but I can use the dashboard to upload my files to, but an other server can upload itself file using API key, which I'm going to create now. So what I'm going to do is that, as you can see, I have three application tests here, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to create my own application. In this case, I'm going to call it test. So I'm not going to pay. This is just for HNM. So there we go. I'm going to create app. And when the application is created, I'm going to come to, in this case, you can go to file list. There is no files, and API keys. In this case, And here I'm going to create an API key. In this case, I'm going to call it test API key. You could give it any kind of name. We're going to create two API keys in this case. So I'm going to create this which have complete access. So create, all right, done. And we're going to create another one which is not going to have this. You can't delete this, non-delete. Okay. Oh my gosh, I made I made a mistake. So I'm going to delete this. Delete. I'm going to delete both because I didn't copy. Okay, so this is going to be full test in this case. Create, copy, and I'm going to be putting in this case in here. So the other one which we're going to create is done test on delete. So this is not going to have delete. I think I do it. Okay, anyway. Yes, I'm going to copy this. What is happening? Okay, done. I'm going to delete this one because I know that I didn't put complete access. So this is going to be this. Okay, anyway, copy key, and there we go. This is the first one. Okay, now we have our two API keys. Now let's say I'm going to come in this case in the dashboard. I can, let's say I'm going to upload a file. So I'm going to upload this file, and there we go. We have the uploaded file. In this case, I'm going to copy the URL and paste it, and as you can see, it's Amazon S3 bucket URL. So the good part is that when you have this kind of situation, which it make very easy to handle, but now this is in the application itself. But what if third party, in this case maybe your next application which or your next product which you are creating, it's going to, if you want to give access. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this and I'm going to set it in my environment variables. In this case, I'm going to paste it, and this already have let's say a SDK built in. So it's creating a SDK which is going to list the files in this case. So what you're going to do is that we're going to list the files in this case, because as you can see it's already running in this case 1992. And when we refresh, this is going to connect in this case your server. Yes, I need to restart the server because the environment variables haven't been loaded. Okay, so refresh, invalid API key, and now we have access to these environment variables. In this case, as you can see, here we got the uploaded and the file, in this case file name, it's this logo only. Okay, so now as you can see we have the full access to that. Okay, so we're going to advance. In this case, let's say I'm going to come to the next one, which is the SDK, the example one. So I'm going to paste it, paste here, and save it. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to list the files for do a simple examples. In this case, I'm going to list. Okay, there we go. We have the files. Now I'm going to upload a file from another server in this case, because as you can see, I'm not going to touch here. I'm not touching here, but this is, let's say, my application B in X project, which have the SDK implemented, and it's going to upload file to the S3 S3 section, but I'm not touching the S3 at all. If you see, I'm using the SDK. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to upload file. So I'm going to open this file. Example, in this case, I have this upload txt file, which is this is a hello. That's all. So what I'm going to do is that, okay, upload that file. Okay, it's upload the file in this case, and I'm going to refresh here. I have the file uploaded, and let's see in this case. Okay, we have the hello. As you can see, this is already uploading in S3. You can see and confirm the URL here is S3, and Dilnaka uploading S3. This already uploaded in this uploading in this case. Okay, so what next thing? Remember, we give that the API key we have built in this case. This have permission. This one don't have permission to delete, but okay, let's say I want to delete in this case the file, in this case the file, which I'm going to get this ID. I'm going to copy this ID, paste it here, save it, and now I'm going to delete this file. So delete file, delete file, and there we go. In this case, as you can see, Dilneka API return non-JSON response, which, if you see, it's very clear that you don't have permission to delete in this case. No permission to delete. But if I copy, in this case, the first one, which have full access to delete, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this one now. And remember, the file still here in this case. Files, yes. So now let's run delete. Hold on. I think we will which one was it? Not non-delete. Yes, which APK was the non-delete? This or the other one? Anyway, we can create complete, create, copy. Let's see what about now. Okay, now we have complete access. Let's say we have complete access. So we want to try to delete, in this case, delete file. Let's see if it's working. No, there is an error to fix in this case, but the the idea was that in this case, let's see, maybe if I am getting the file ID wrong, let me see. Mm, I don't, it was working anyway. Okay, there we go. Let's test. And now we're going to run this. Okay, that's this. Okay, I think in delete, looks like it have some issue to fix. So anyway, the idea, you get the idea. You get the idea. As you can see, it's working because a server which is sending to my server, in this case, which my server, it's running in 5200, and that's in this case, I'm pointing to that server 5200, and that server, and we're using this API key. So we have the issue in delete file, just that, but that is anyway, I need to review. It was working, I don't know. Anyway, the idea is this, and it's working. So well, in my part, as you can see, this is very useful tools in this case. And the next thing what I see is that if you refresh, if you set, let's say maybe you come and in settings, and you go to, in this case, let's say you have 1 minute, 1 hour, and let's say you're going to give access to only 1 minute, it's going to give you 1 minute, and the how name it's going to expire in this case. So you got the total control. After 1 minute, the URL in this case is going to be expire, so it's not going to show everything. Well, in this case, that was the idea of that um this file, this project. Okay, the next project which I'm working on is this. And let me start npm run dev, and I'm going to come to Telegram, select Kupna. Okay, there we go. We have Kupna selected. So I'm going to click start. And as you can see, it's responding, and the server, in this case, it's running here. As you can see, it's failing the first attempt, but in the second, it responds correctly. Um, so now you can ask about doing tasks, or maybe say remind me after 1 minute to cup of coffee. So let's see what's up. He said type in, okay. So it's going to remind me that I'm going to do a cup of coffee after this moment. So next, my agent have access to my operating system in this case. So I'm going to ask to get information from my images, and maybe it can return this information. So what I'm going to do is that ask him, in this case, I'm going to chat him. Um, okay, it's going to confirm it. Yeah, there is directory name Dilnica inside. Okay, inside we have, in this case, I need a file name and favicon. Wow, there is the remind me to do cup of coffee. Wow, my bot is working, and this is Caspian project. In this case, this bot is built with Caspian project. As you can see, in this case, Kutna bot Telegram, and when you come, in this case, Caspian config, you have a Caspian project. So my bot is working as expected. So what next? I'm going to ask that I need the inside, there is a file name fav icon, send me. So it's going to start typing. In this case, I'm going to wait because it's going to send me the, okay, I have the icon in this case. So I can download the icon and see if that the icon, there is the icon, small but there. As you can see, you could give privilege to access to your machine and do stuff. In this case, this agent, it's doing stuff, but I build it using Caspian, which um help you a lot in this case, because you just need, in this case, Prisma. I'm using um in this case a schema which is SQLite. I'm not complicating myself, but there is which have any kind of information, because I hook with OpenAI API in this case. What more about Caspian Python framework. In this case, I'm asking about Caspian Python framework if it's going to start navigating to the how name. Okay, let's see. Ah, okay, okay. There, there we go. We even I think we could make MCP all those stuff them inside. So okay, um, final thoughts about Caspian framework. In this case, as you can see, Caspian is finally stable in beta version and it's preparing to go to release candidate maybe in this end of the week. And if you have any information that you want, information that you want to review with maybe the Caspian project because looks interesting for you because it's doing stuff for you. And remember, it's building in this case, it's agentic first information because Caspian is giving every information what IA needs to know, and that's why, as you can see, I can just complete vibe coding 5 hours ago. Start vibe coding this and I complete this chatbot in this range of time in this case. So as you can see, I build my own chatbot which can have access to my information, personal information, but it have access to a specific section only. I specify that you have access only in documents, in images, music, and videos and downloads in this case. But the other ones, since like say application section, things like that, I don't want you to be there. So well in this case, well, you have a powerful, in this case, powerful framework which use fast API under the hood, and it's giving you all this asynchronous chat and things like that, which helping you a lot when you are dealing with complicated and you want high performance application which can give you all what you need in one um, section, and which agentic first helps a lot because nowadays we are not coding a lot. What we are doing is um, defining how the project should and where it's going to be deployed in this case. So that is the important part where you are architecting your environment because IA it's not going to help you a lot in this case because you know where and why you're going to deploy your application because depending on the complexity and the use case you are giving to your application. So well, IA have and it's going to always it's going to help be helping you to build um your project, but it's not going to help you to analyze how and what platform you're going to focus on and why you are focused in that platform to deploy. Because remember, here it's almost about questioning and then you get the response, but you are not IA is not aware about your what you are imagining to build until you start maybe piece by piece start separating and building. So for this case, Caspian helps you a lot because Caspian you are building by parts in this case. So Caspian comes in this section helping you to give you that the space. If you want database, include afterward. If you want MCP, include afterward, because depending on your requirements. So Caspian is helping you in that case too. And well, Caspian was used to have, like say, errors in this case in dynamic roads, things like that. Yeah, been solved, some bugs, things like that. So it's evolving, and um it's helping me to build a lot of complex situation, as you can see I'm facing. But now I think I'm can reach more close to what I want. Okay, so if there are any question or any doubts to ask, well, no problem. We can you can ask. We'll see what's up if I can answer it or things like that. Okay, anyone? Okay, then anything, remember, leave comment below anything if maybe there is a future which you want to Caspian be included, we can review and why should that happen, things like that, because as you can see, Caspian is very flexible for you to help you to include what you want and how you think into things like that. So Caspian is open source. The idea of Caspian is help you build your dream project fast and secure way, having an environment which IA understand, it's a game changer. Because remember, nowadays, how I told you before, we are not coding a lot. What we are doing is architecting how should be your project and where you're going to deploy and why you're going to deploy, things like that, because AI is going to help you build that dream project, but it's not going to tell you how you're going to build your dream project because it doesn't know about your imagination, but it can help you to make your dream becomes true in case of building project with Caspian. So um thanks for joining and see you in another video. Happy coding.